Hi, and welcome to our program. Today we are visiting the exhibition Bodies here at Mosgaard Museum. Anthropology students made this exhibition from scratch in only 5 weeks. Let's talk to two of those students.
This is embodied loss, so it's a lot about how the body reacts to losing another body. So that could be like a relative dying, it could be a breakup, it could be that friends that fall apart, and how the body experiences that kind of loss. And the way that they've kind of chosen to express that in here is that they've taken the different objects that the informants kind of relate to the other body they've lost.
Yeah.
So this, for example, is I think the mother, which had like a silk scarf that she gave to her daughter, which is the one who's talking here, because they had like the scent of her mother. So in that way, she associates the silk scarves with her dead mother.
Yeah.
And the same with other things, like there's flowers, there's the broken bottles.
And this is what is
that's
in this part.
Yeah, that's what is from the.
And how did it come to these objects? Was it through field work, basically talking with people and seeing which objects like kind of triggered? I don't know if this is the correct expression to use in this case.
I think it was through the interviews. They had a lot of interviews with people, and then I think as they ask more, it kind of comes up naturally.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that we also taught in anthropology is that we do not, or we strive not to kind of ask questions that is implicit or that we want them to answer like in a certain way. We try to make them just answer the way they want to answer it. So a lot of the things that come up here is something that is just during the interview.
Okay.
And
so they based this exhibition a lot in the interview itself. There was not so much of a specific image, kind of what it looked like. It would be just go to the interviews and see what.
That is also
coming.
like the general thing about this exhibition is that nothing is prepared beforehand. We have an idea, but we are taught that if the interview shows something different or something, we have to throw that idea away and come up with a new one. Yeah. So a lot of the things, like generally, all the things is from the interviews and from the field work.
That something came up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's so hard to do when you're like especially in a small timeline.
Yeah.
A short timeline, and you have this idea, and then do an interview. It's like, well, that did not really go how I expected, and then you need to like reformulate everything again.
Yeah.
And the video was also from the interviews, or was it like planned shots?
This is actually the sound of people telling is the informants themselves, but these images is recreated for the purpose of keeping their. I think they wanted anonymity. They didn't want to be like on a screen and stuff like that. But the sound of them telling is their voices, but they've recreated and done a bunch of stuff themselves.
So are these sounds like just taken out of the interview, or was there? Okay, can you tell a little bit about this now, and then you just use that? Do you know how the process was?
I think that they have kind of some questions they want to incorporate in the sounds, or something they want to incorporate.
Okay.
And they have taken it from completely different interviews and matched them into one video, but where they address the same kind of feelings and challenges with the body. So it could be, what did you feel right after? And they will all tell the physical symptoms on losing another person. So it could be like a stomach ache, a headache, and that kind of stuff. So it is not like each individual story, but kind of mashed into to the same theme. Kind of.
Okay. Okay. So this is this three headphones have all the same sound. It's not like one person speaks in this one. It's from the same sound.
It's from the same sound, yeah.
From the video.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's the flowers and there's
picture frames.
Picture frames.
Also.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. And I think like the most interesting thing about this is like what they've explained here is the broken heart syndrome, where you can physically see the heart has expanded and changed after losing someone.
Yeah.
So I think it's really crazy that
there's like an actual physical reaction to it.
There is such a connection between the mind and the body that you can physically change from losing someone. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, so the symptoms would be like pain in the chest. It also says it's nausea, shortness of breath, all these kind of things. It's kind of like a heart attack, actually, as they have explained here.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
So it really just emphasizes how strong the connection is between mind and body.
Yeah. And this was kind of the point of the exhibition, right? To understand how that
works,
that was portrayed.
And especially with losing another body. I think that was also with this exhibitions, and it was with another body that is lost.
Sad.
Yeah.
And then there's this part.
Yeah, I think that this is also interesting. They've tried to. We were encouraged by our professors to make something that children can interact with in this, so we kind of also keep their attention.
So like to really get to every age group.
Exactly. Okay. And this one is there's a little story about Emma, which is 9 years old, and telling her bodily experience with losing her dog. And then the children are encouraged to draw in this book the people they've lost. So I've read through a couple of them. There's someone who's lost grandparents, someone who's lost also pets and stuff like that. And it's from all over the world. It's from England, Italy, stuff like that. So I think that is really interesting to look through.
Yeah, and even like from such an early age, this is already. I mean, obviously, like everyone and everything dies eventually, but it's just so sad to see how this already has such an impact in children.
Yeah. Exactly.
Is there something else you would like to add? I have to admit, I didn't really understand the broken bottles one. Because it explains the rest.
I think it's. I've heard the stories before, but it's because that someone lost. I think it was a breakup. I'm not sure. But then they went out and smashed bottles in like an alley and stuff like that. So they kind of relate that loss with going out and just breaking bottles.
Just letting the rage.
Everything, just let it break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, like the general theme was the staging the body, or the staged body, and then they kind of had to like narrow it down to make it doable.
Yeah.
Actually, so they chose ballet and ballerinas and the ballet dancers because there is kind of this training where you had to make your body look like something specific in ballet. So I think they talked about that their body has to have a fine line between them. So when they are in a certain positions, you can see kind of a line going through them. So they have to learn these movements with their body to present the way that they think that ballerinas should look like.
Yeah. Do you know why this interest in ballerinas? Like, was there someone from the group maybe that had that did ballet before, or knew someone? Like, do you know if there was any relation, or if there was just?
I don't think that they had any relations. I just think that they thought it was a very good way to convey the staging of the body, because it is so visual and it is so doable, and also because it's interesting that people who train to the extreme
it's crazy,
try to stage their body, try to make the look their body like something specific. And because we had so little time, we had to kind of zoom in on a lot of specific things.
Yeah.
And I think that ballet was just something that interested them, actually. Yeah.
Okay. So there's the opening poem.
Yeah.
This is so cute how everything is like very poetic.
Yeah. It's I think it's trying to captivate people instead of just trying like a very informative.
Yeah.
Which
it makes sense.
Yeah, it can be boring just to see, like, because there is so much information going around. So like the introduction should interest people.
Yeah, for sure.
And this is just the way we've chosen to do it. Yeah.
Was this also like something that all the groups had to agree with, or how was this process of making things more poetic? Let's say, like if your group wanted to do it, but another one or the rest of it didn't want to, could you do it? Like, did this have to be a bit coherent?
Everything had to be a bit coherent, but I think the people who were in the text genre was the ones that had like the upper hand in that. They kind of had, because they also had some education and some seminars about how to write a text in museums and how to interest people. But I think we overall had to agree with what kind of feeling this introductory text had to have.
I like the sound, like reflexive and like
exactly, because everything is kind of poetic in the introductory. And I think that is something they agreed on in the text genre.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And they also did field work, right?
Yes. So, exactly.
So this was one of the ballerinas that they
they've taken a picture, and I think they've kind of trying to illustrate the different parts of the body that like a ballerina uses and have to stage.
Like the line that you just mentioned, right? Yeah, I think in here it's kind of more clear.
Yeah,
which is weird because it's separated, so it should be more messy.
yeah, exactly. You think that it would be more messy, but I think they're trying to illustrate that kind of bodily stage.
And in all the exhibitions, it kind of has like a more interactive part, right? And this is the interactive part.
This is the interactive part. We've been very much encouraged to make
the positions.
Yeah, so it kind of encourages people to try to stand like the ballerina positions, just like the standard positions.
And you also have a small one for children.
Yeah, exactly.
So cute.
On the day the exhibition opened, actually we had the drag queens and kings come in and see the exhibition.
That's
and
so cool.
I have a picture of 3 drag queens and 1 king trying to stand here. So it's something that captivates people. It's the first thing they see when I walk in here and try to stand, because you can. It's also almost physically impossible to do it if you're not trained and haven't trained your body to do it.
Yeah.
I tried it myself. Didn't work. But
I'm not trying it myself. I actually did ballet for a long time.
You did?
Yeah, but it has been like a really long time.
That's better than me, actually.
Yeah. My muscles are not used to this anymore. Like I was like 11 or something when I stopped. So this is tomorrow. I'm gonna feel this. Okay. No, I cannot see in my pants. Yeah, this doesn't feel natural at all.
No, and that's something that they've trained to do. Like that is a natural thing to do.
Of course.
To do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like I still feel that my thighs are like, that is not the way.
No.
Yeah, and this is insane. Like I've heard horror stories.
Yeah, just to show like the contrast, right? About what it looks like in the start and what it actually is when you've kind of used up the shoe.
Yeah, you never take the one that it's used up for performances.
No.
Everything is pretty. You never know.
Yeah, as she says here, it's hard work, but that's not what they show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's just to show a contrast, and also I think that shoes is especially a very good way to kind of show contrasts. So I think we considered in the drag just as putting heels and normal sneakers, but it's just a very good way to kind of exemplify how the contrast can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's the thing that you cannot really get rid of, kind of.
Yeah.
In your daily life is to walk around. It's something that you're aware. I mean, maybe not aware, but it's there all the time.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Yeah, with those like huge heels from the drag shows, I'm like, oh my god. Okay, and then they also did this timeline.
There is a timeline of where you start and where you end up. If you get through all the stages, of course, because it's a very, very hard to be a professional ballet dancer. It's really a lot of hard work, but you kind of start as like children in the ballet and try to get to there's a education program. It's a 3-year program where you also train besides, which is kind of like it's suited for people who does ballet professionally.
Yeah, so this is like a real education in ballet. It's not like a hobby type of thing. It's
if you want to be like
for the real.
It's kind of suited for people who want to get an education but also train.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
so
many
it's
hours.
Mixed kind of.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like there's a special program for it. Okay.
Yeah, because they don't have a lot of time to like do full-time studies, so there is something which is kind of suited for that lifestyle. Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's the corpse of the ballet.
The corpse.
So which is like the ballet's body. So that's where you kind of start. This is 3 steps in the way you're
inside when you're like in a company or something.
Exactly.
So there's like 3 roles that you can take.
And then there's a soloist, and then there's a solo dancer, which is what you want to be. And want to achieve.
But if there's like 2 solo dancers or something like this, how can a company with maybe 100?
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's just crazy.
So this is just like the steps they want to go through.
Okay.
And that is just the end goal right there.
Okay. And then they have like explanations of
what
happens.
They kind of focus on in the interviews, what they've told like the informants, what do they emphasize and stuff like that, and that's what they've put up here. So again, the shoes, the pointy shoes, and the ballet ideal. So that is actually just a description of what the ideal ballet body is. So how should it look? How should it stand? How should it be positioned when you're a ballet dancer?
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of things involved.
And then there's pain also. Because it's not like it's a working tool. Like the body is like a tool for ballet, and it entails pain at some point.
Yeah, I think like also with athletes and everything, where your body is like your main tool in that way, because there's also very physical jobs that your body is also a tool, but it's not in the same way. It gets extreme, like it gets really extreme.
It gets extreme, but pain is just a part of staging the body, and it requires pain to stage the body like a ballet dancer. Yeah. And then they've kind of tried to take the aesthetic of not being in a ballet play or stuff like that, but put them in like ordinary clothes, if you can say that, and try to see the body in a ballet position, but not in a ballet aesthetic.
Yeah.
Just to exemplify.
Which is like a bit weird, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not used to
you're not
seeing
used to
it
seeing
unless
someone
it's like
in sweatpants. Doing
full
that
band.
in normal shoes also, which is not pointy shoes. It's just trying to take all the like the physical tools away, and just focusing on the body.
On the body itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is quite nice. Do you know how many people they interviewed?
I think they had a little trouble finding people, so I don't think that they had a lot, but they do have a couple. I know there are 3. I've listened to there are some stories in these about people telling about being a ballet dancer, but also
like what it means to them, or the procedure,
how
process.
pain is. It's basically their voices that is like going through these kind of terms and themes that they've brought up.
Yeah.
So just their own voice.
Their voice. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah,
and this is not too bad, actually.
Yeah, I think this one is just to like a last effort to show what's behind.
Yeah.
What's behind the
it's
shoe,
still bad.
eh? Yeah.
But
it's not comfortable to look at, right?
No.
So
my feet are like.
Exactly. No. So I think that that's just to show when you take away the ballet shoes and everything, there is a body behind it that is formed in a certain way because you've tried to.
And it gets shaped in a different way from all the efforts.
Exactly. So I think that it's quite a good picture, just illustrating that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Well, I think this was the last part. So, is there anything that you would like to say, not only about this, but the general exhibition, or?
I just hope that people go in here with an open mind, and I hope that people think it's fun. Also, we've tried to make it fun, but also while trying to start a conversation about more serious things. So that is just what I hope people get out of watching this exhibition.
And this part is about microplastics, right?
Yes, it's about microplastics in the body and how it's going to affect the way that our bodies function and stuff like that. So it's basically just trying to talk about how microplastics are present unconsciously for like our eyes and stuff like that. I think they told us actually that you ate like 1 plastic card a week, just in microplastics.
It's crazy.
So that was kind of like the starting point, right? Trying to explore this more and what it does to our body.
And that's why they kind of chose a regular, like daily life type of setting to show that it's around everywhere.
Yeah, I think what is commonly understood, like microplastics, people think that they don't see it, or they don't like have
an impact because they're so small.
But they've tried to illustrate just in a normal apartment what is plastic and where is it in your everyday life. So for example, the fish, which is like because they swallow microplastics in the ocean. And when we eat it, we also get the microplastics in our body.
Yeah, and then just goes around through the whole food chain.
Yeah. So we can't really avoid it. That is what they're trying to say. And it may do something to our bodies, but we don't know it yet. So that's also...
That is so scary. That is incredibly scary.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
And this was a more like extreme way of portraying this?
Yeah, because we can't see microplastic with the eye. They've tried to kind of make it more visible in this film. So it is to illustrate what you could be eating. So yeah, just to make it visible for the eye.
Yeah, and it's like if you look at something like that, you would never want to eat it, right? You would not eat it, but
exactly.
But it's there.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Exactly.
And then there is this picture.
Yeah, this picture, trying to make it look like the apartment and just looking out. And if you go really close, there's these small images of plastic making the bigger picture. So it's kind of to illustrate that when you look out, there's plastic everywhere, but you just don't see it before you like get real close. Yeah. So I think it's a cool picture.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And this was also made by the student, right?
Yeah.
So they put it together in a way of looking like.
I think so.
That's quite some skills.
It's a lot of work. Yeah.
Crazy. And also the living room setting.
Yeah. So people can sit here, and then
yes.
When you press this button here, and you take on the headphones. You take on the headphones, and there will be a lot of experts telling about microplastics and where they kind of are and how they get into the human body.
Okay, so this exhibition is mostly from the expert's perspective, and not a daily. I mean, how can you know, right?
They've tried to take it down on like an everyday basis by doing this like apartment and then using the expert's knowledge to apply it to the everyday.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's this last part.
Yeah. I think this is what most people are shocked about, which is kind of like they've taken different people and they've tried to illustrate how much plastic they've ate unconsciously during their lifetime, like microplastics. And this girl's 10 years old, and she would have eaten during her lifetime something
Yeah. This is
like 2.5 kilos, and the same. And they've like then people like get older and older, and they've tried to illustrate how much more they're gonna eat. So she would have ate a plastic chair during her lifetime, and he would have ate what would be about 160 garbage bags. And
like I imagine actually eating those things and.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And the last one is 2 garbage containers.
It's almost 20. It's almost 20 kilos.
Yeah. So it's to illustrate that it's something that we don't see. We can see the microplastics in our bodies, but try to illustrate it by taking normal objects that people can relate to, and kind of make it more clear that way by trying to take objects everybody knows.
Yeah. That was it for today. We hope you enjoyed the programs. See you next time.